Nigeria's first civilian executive president, Shehu Shagari, was recognized as a man of peace who dedicated a greater part of his life to the service of the fatherland. Now, what can we say about such a patriot whose life of service and humility was widely acknowledged? Wow. But all, we'll be introducing our guest shortly as we attempt to appreciate the life and times of former President Shehu Aliyu Shagari, who bowed out some days ago at the age of 93. My name is Blessing Abu. Welcome to Nigeria Today. He's already seated in the studio to discuss the life and times of Shehu Aliyu Shagari. I'd like to welcome first the Deputy Director News, Voice of Nigeria, Ben Sheman. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, Blessing.
Compliments of the season. I'd also like to welcome Professor Mohammed Mainoma, who is a former Vice Chancellor, Nasarawa State University. Prof, welcome to the program.
Good evening, Blessing. Good evening, Nigerians.
Yes, sir, in this part of the world, as Africans, we hardly want to talk ill of the dead because we believe, at least we revere them in a different manner. But this personality is not just one you even say, okay, even if you're going to talk ill of anyone, this is one great patriot, like already started talking about. First civilian executive president, Shehu Aliyu Shagari, was not just your ordinary leader. Though he had this ordinary look, but he wasn't just the ordinary. Who can you describe the late president to be? Professor Mainoma.
Thank you very much. He is somebody that you can say a person with style, somebody with a lot of recognitions, somebody with a lot of humility, somebody that understands community and what should be done to advance the cause of man. That's the kind of things that you will say of Shehu Shagari.
So Ben Sheman, what would you say about the man and former President Shehu Shagari?
Honestly, he represented that kind of epitome, someone the younger ones were looking forward to. And I do remember when he was in power, or he was the president, you could see that some people started even wearing the cap the way he was always wearing. They would say Shagari style. And even when he was wearing his babangriga, his kaftan, there were ways he was fling them this way, and they just say, oh, 1005 Shagari style, you know. And there were also some cars, some people would say, oh, Shagari style. You know, that was, he was already setting up a kind of a pace. He was a pace setter that people could just emulate. So soft-spoken, easy-going, and of course, but well-focused.
I'm glad you already touched aspect of government. Let's get back to Professor Mainoma. There are the different parts of the President Shehu Shagari, the administrator, one who even served as a local government chairman. He also was commissioners at different, I think, finance, and also there was, okay, it was coined differently anyway, but he served as commissioners at different points. And even under the military, he still had other assignments. This is the man with the different phases. But he stood firm in all of these assignments. How would you describe him, the man as an administrator and one who's a seasoned politician as well?
Like we have said at the very beginning, you find out that when it comes to politics, he has a landmark. That he was actually federal commissioner, the kind of ministers that we're talking, in about 7 different ministries. He was commissioner of finance, that's for the federation, as what is called minister today. And he was in commerce, he was in economic development, he was in interior, he was in works at different times of his life as a cabinet minister. So you find out that he has distinguished himself as somebody that works within that kind of ministries. Even in internal affairs, he was once a minister, what they call commissioner at that time. So he has done those things. What is very clear is that he has done it selfless service, because at the end of the day, he didn't even have a house of his own. It was until during Abacha that a house was built for him in Sokoto. So you can see that it is just service, that the man was as a teacher from the very beginning. He started as a classroom teacher, then went to House of Reps. Then later he was appointed this minister so we're talking about. He developed a career of service, that all that matters to him was to provide service for the common man in this country.
Well, talking about selflessness, because you kept using the word selfless, and the service was just to the people, not for himself. That simplicity, for most people have described it, simplicity and modesty. This was the hallmark for most of those first nationalists and at least heroes of the past. Why is it difficult for people today? Well, before we start maybe delving into people today, what was it that made them to be selfless outrightly those days?
Yeah, you see, sometimes what you call the background, humility right from the word go. These were people who were tutored. I mean, the tutelage was done by some people of note. And when they were growing up, of course, they started emulating those people. And that was what Shagari or Shehu Shagari exhibited all through his life. That simplicity, very meek, a man who indeed, by appearance, would never a kind of hurt a fly. But again, he knew his mission, especially service to countrymen. And do remember when he was always campaigning, his finger was always up. One nation, one destiny, and that is always it. And to him, he felt that Nigerians can live anywhere, irrespective of where they come from. They should provide service, and without let or hindrance. It was not, religion never counted, you know. And that was why, if you saw, even when they first started, you could see that they were together with Zik. In other words, it was a kind of a government of national unity, so to speak. And why was it so? To ensure that everyone is taken care of. And you can also see that even the civil war that came and passed, it was an attempt to heal the wounds. And that was why you could see that he was so close to the Igbo people. You could see that he was with Alex Ukweme, and he never neglected the minorities. When they had a convention to do, they never took it to Lagos, they never took it to big cities. Where did they go? Boko. You know, and everybody, the TV people, the youths, they wanted to see Shagari, they wanted to see, and people would want to be like him. And that is it. So, but today when we begin to see big rallies are always done in the capital cities and all that, some people have to pay their ways coming. No, but those days, it was a volunteer kind of a service. And that's why the man left office impunity. And today, if you get an appointment, people want to say, oh, they said he is the minister of commerce.
Why is he not showing
up? Why not petroleum? Why not works where you can manipulate issues? Why not finance, you know? But Shagari passed through many of these key ministries, but he never amassed wealth. Never.
Well, talking about not amassing wealth, which is something different, we'll say, with today's, well, some of today's leaders and wherever you find yourself. Earlier on, Professor Minoma was talking about him traversing different ministries or the different commissions that time, as they were known. He was commissioner for the different sectors. In works, you talk about works. Also, we remember the aspect of agriculture, the Green Revolution. Let's begin to break some of this down, how such impacted the people, each of those different sectors that he walked through. You also just made mention of the fact that reaching out to the people, moving around from the northwest. Part of the tributes, at least we read about former President Ibrahim Babangida, described him as a bridge builder. That could summarize what you just described. Not just limiting himself to the north.
Sure.
He reached out, even when it was as okay, the opposition here and there. We'll talk more about this aspect of this detribalized Nigerian, we'll call him now, because that is the phase that we think we should get to as a nation. That will be after this break, because we're going on a break. We actually sought some of the residents' views, and I'm sure we want to see what they thought about before we come back and see all the things that we'll be looking into as we move into an election year for us. You're watching Nigeria Today. We're looking at the life and times of late president, first executive president of Nigeria. That's I beg your pardon, Shehu Shagari. We'll be right back.
In fact, he's a man of high integrity. In fact, had it been that God created human being to live up to 108 years, I would have asked God, please spare the life of Shehu Shagari to get up to that. But who are we to question God?
Compare the time of Shagari with this time. Okay. Because we eat well. He feed us. We everything. But when they overthrew him, suffer started. We feel hungry. You are feeding your child, you can't feed. Women go off. You can't go school, nothing. You see people for dustbin at Lagos picking food to eat. Dusa, you know Dusa, that thing they come out from Akam, people eat it. No way for us, they lock it until God bring the Messiah.
Okay, so Shehu Shagari, what kind of man would you say?
He's a man of God. He's a man who gathered with his vice president. He feed us and we feel proud.
Shehu Shagari is one of the best civilian president Nigeria has ever reached, because there's no tribal sentiment, no any sentiment with the late Shehu Shagari at 93.
Iran's president. I was actually in the primary school then, and then things were okay within the family. My father then was working with Ahmadu Bello University, College of Agric, and the money my father was earning was not even up to 1,000 naira. And he was able to feed the family. He had a car, paid school fees, and I could not remember when food was not even enough then. So what I could remember, his government was okay.
You're watching Nigeria Today. Different views, but you agree with me that those were great moments for most people who spoke with us, because irrespective of where they come from, they remember the leader in former President Shehu Shagari. And that leadership quality is what we're about to explore the more. Yes, as a politician, he had so many faces to at least bring on the different goals for his administration. And we've already talked about issue of the works. We've talked about issue of commerce. Let's take a look at what were those moments for his political stand. How did he achieve that with the people? Professor.
Yeah, thank you very much. You see, they had a program actually as a president of this country. They had a program that you can see. It is not something that is the story that people will be telling about. Let's talk about housing, for instance.
Is that Shagari housing?
Yes, almost in every local government you will find where you say Shagari housing, low cost housing. So you find them available. When you talk about agriculture, you can see that there is clear efforts to bring in seeds that will improve the productivity of the farmers. You will see that there are efforts to make fertilizer cheaper. Clear efforts that people buy fertilizer at a very reduced cost. If you talk about transportation, you find that the road networks that was built during Shagari are still subsisting, as we're talking about. Then if you talk about things like rural development, the issue of skill development in this country, nobody has done more than like that. So but unfortunately they are allowed to slip by. So you find out that it is a clear determination with a clear focus that government knows what it wants to do, and there are strategies and efforts to ensure that these things are achieved. That it was clear. The management of the economy was so open, so transparent, that you can see that this is where we want to go. But remember that he served only for 4 years. But despite that, up to today, there are things that you can see that there are legacies of that administration, that if they were continued, by now Nigeria would have been a different position.
Okay. looking at continuity, is it about the structure the leader has brought to the fore, or even those who are working around him? Because if you have a vision and you don't see how people to actually push, what was it like for late President Shehu Shagari, and for continuity of adherence?
Yeah, you see, you hardly can rule out saboteurs in government. Why do I put it this way? The man had all sorts of laudable projects that you could see, like we've spoken about these housing estates here and there. Remember the Ajaokutu steel rolling mill? He was actually pushing to see that Nigeria becomes the largest steel company sub-Saharan Africa. You know, but his undoing, like some people will say, he trusted everybody. And once he gave you a ministry, of course, he trusted that you deliver. But it was then some people were busy siphoning this and making the government a kind of very weak. But that was never the intention of Shagari. And he even went to the extent that appointing what they call PLOs, Presidential Liaison Officers, here and there. Every state had one. And it was the duty of every PLO to go around every nook and cranny to see what people are talking about, to listen to what they are saying, get the pulse of the nation, and fit him back so that actions were taken, you know. And that was the railway system. Look at the air transportation. I mean, things were so nice. And even when you're talking about the exchange rate, really, it was not a bad thing at all in terms of the naira and the pound. We are not even talking of naira and dollars, because you needed some dollars to buy the naira, you know. But if things went bad, it was not Shagari's issue. Some people were there, they actually did the sabotage and destroyed the government.
There's an aspect of trust.
Surely.
Of course, the leader will always want to trust his followers. Likewise, the followers are expected to trust whatever judgment of the leaders.
It's a kind of a symbiotic relationship. You wash my hand, I wash yours. Not in terms of corruption, but no, in terms of vision and mission. We are here to deliver on service. What did we promise the electorate to the extent that they voted us in? And if they so did that, of course, it's a kind of social contract. They put us there. There were other political parties after all. But why were we chosen? So if we were chosen based on our own ideology, based on what we feel we should serve to the Nigeria, and they felt convinced they should vote them in, then they should deliver. And that's why politically you need to get like minds. Not people who indeed are just there to make themselves rich at the expense of the nation.
Okay, former President Shagari died at the age of 93, and this is what most of us refer to as a well-ripe, or at least a good ripe age, a full old age. Now, what does that tell us about the kind of life, the quality of life? Because even after office, he was still being respected at different fora. People still, at least we're celebrating him today. What does that tell us about the quality of life leaders should live and how they should actually live, whether in the office, outside office? Professor Minama.
It is faith, you know. Most importantly, that people should believe in God, and they should then take care of themselves. Because at the end of the day, if you find yourself not eating normally, if you are eating junks, you may end up find yourself in a different so that those are the kind of things that are but people of nowadays eat anything. But you see, all of them, those that were born in those times, they eat natural food. Their kind of feeding is different from the kind of ones we do today, and the kind of foods we eat today is a lot of different things put together. But when you see consistency in the kind of management of their feeding, I think those are the kind of things that we should encourage our young ones to do. Then you'll find out that they may definitely live longer than to just take anything that comes into their mouth, and that may create a lot of health hazards. So it is important that we look at the old people and see their pattern of life, the kind of environment they live in. Even these exposure to air condition, exposure, you may find out that they do moderate things. They don't go to the level that others are doing today. So life pattern is actually a matter that is associated with the kind of things you do.
Okay, so life pattern, consider what you consume, consider the environment as well. Now, we already talked about his party's motto, which is one nation, one destiny, and the 2019 elections are fast approaching. Leaders will be coming our way. We've seen them, we've heard them, or for those who actually have anything to say in the first instance, what should the nation be imbibing from the legacies? Or what are the greatest legacies at this point that we must carry on as we move into another election year?
First of all, let's look at the leadership, especially those that have left the scene as presidents. Shagari was never one who indeed was tormenting any sitting government. Even when there was National Council of State, yes, anyone that he went in, he contributed effectively. And when issues are bad, he makes a phone call. He was never fond of addressing the press. He cannot to hit the polity and make a sitting government sound a kind of powerless. No. And so this is what we should be looking at. Who are the people in government today? We don't expect that the head messages we are seeing today, tribal politics, religious connotations, regionalism and all that stuff, you know, and politicians should simply promise what they can do. Don't just give us a very bogus checklist. If we were to go into fact checking, as it were in some other countries, we begin to look at, okay, people promised they were going to do this. Now let's take one by one and begin to give marks like a student who is in a school, you know. So politicians, we should play politics like Waziri Ibrahim would say, without bitterness. You know, when there is a big issue like Boko Haram or what is happening in Zamfara State, this is a moment that every Nigerian should come together. We don't just say, no, I'm not in government today. If
it's not from my region.
You know, okay, it's not from my region.
Professor Mainoma, how can we honor the statesman, honor him through whatever legacy that we have picked? How can we sustain such?
Unfortunately, we are starting at the wrong foot. That it is only when people die that you begin to say what you are going to do. I think anybody that has done substantially fine to this nation, we should be thinking of what we can immortalize them with, instead of awaiting that until they die before we say that today we are going to do one fund for Shagari to sustain. I think it is very important that we must consider governance as a responsibility. That it is not the person, it is that you are working for the people, and that you must therefore consult the people in all the things you do. So what we can do for Shagari today is to ensure that we have a governance that is consultative, a governance that listens to the people, a governance that understands the feelings of the people and try to address them. That is the best legacy that we can give.
Thank you very much, Professor Mohammed Mainoma, former Vice Chancellor, Nasarawa State University. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much.
I also like to appreciate Ben Shema, Deputy Director News, Voice of Nigeria.
Thank you.
Great insight there, both of you. Thank you very much. And also for you, the viewer, thank you for watching. We'll bring you another one in the new year, just some hours away. So, thank you for watching, and you can actually watch this online at www.ntnews24up, youtube.com. I beg your pardon, it's displayed on screen. We appreciate you. We'll see you with another edition. My name is Blessing Abu. Thank you for watching.